Are you curious about the recent ceremony that took place for the Third Temple? In this event, hundreds of Jews reenacted the water libation, which is an essential preparation for the Third Temple. In this video, we will take a closer look at the recent ceremony and explore its significance. We will also discuss the Bible's indications that point to the existence of another temple, even though these indications are not always explicit. So, stay tuned until the end to learn more about this fascinating topic. The recent ceremony that took place for the Third Temple is significant because it involved the reenactment of the water libation that was performed on October 12, 2022, in order to get ready for the Third Temple. This event took place just recently. Jews around the world are currently partaking in the festivities associated with the holiday of Sukkot, also known as the Feast of Tabernacles, the Feast of Booths, or the Feast of Shelters. Sukkot is the seventh and final feast that the Lord commanded Israel to observe, and it is one of the three feasts during which they were instructed to go and appear before the Lord, your God, at the location that he would select. Sukkot also marks the end of the period of feasting that the Lord commanded Israel to observe. People have a lot of interest in the prospect of there being a third temple because it played such an important role in the history of ancient Israelites, particularly the Jews who are also Israelites. To shed some light on this subject, the Bible is looked to for guidance, and there are three scriptural indications that point to the existence of another temple, even though these indications are not always explicit. The first two signs point to a physical temple, while the third one is more symbolic in nature. One of the reasons that the Feast of Tabernacles is so important is because it is mentioned so frequently in the Bible as a way to call attention to important happenings. This is one of the reasons why it is so important. There are a number of references throughout the Bible to events that took place during the Feast of Tabernacles. Two examples include Zerubbabel in Ezra chapter 3, as well as the return of the Israelites to Jerusalem under Joshua's leadership to rebuild the temple. A link to an article published by 365 News that discussed the reenactment of the water libation that was held in preparation for the Third Temple is provided for those who are interested in reading it. The article is in the subject of this discussion. On Tuesday in Jerusalem, a reenactment of the water libation ceremony was held, complete with several hundred participants led by Kohanim and priestly guards, and accompanied by Levites playing musical instruments. The ceremony was reenacted in its entirety, including the wearing of all the appropriate clothing and accessories. The event was a recreation of how the water libation was performed in the temple, and it started in Shar al-Shabbat, which is located in the Dung Gate of the Old City of Jerusalem. The event was a recreation of how the water libation was performed in the temple. The Bible said that everyone who took part in Shar ha-Shabbat had to wear certain clothes. The Levites also took part in the ceremony by playing musical instruments while wearing their own special clothes. As the people made their way down ancient walkways into the valley below the Temple Mount, the musically talented Levites led the way with jubilant music, played on drums, violin, guitar, and clarinet. The crowd cheered and danced as they made their way through the archaeological ruins of the ancient city of David, an Arab village, and eventually arrived at the Siloam Spring, which was utilized during the time when the temple was in operation. It is written in Isaiah 12:3 that if you drink from the fountains of joy, victory will flow into your veins, and this sentiment was echoed throughout the reenactment ceremony as a reminder of the Bible passage. The whole event was a joyful party with music, dancing, and a faithful reenactment of a well-known biblical custom. The sound of 4-foot-long trumpets made of sterling silver accompanied the procession at each of the stops along the route. Rabbi Israel Ariel, who is known for starting the Temple Institute, was in charge of the event along with a number of other rabbis. The golden container that he used was a water jug at the pool was brought out for the parade, and was placed at the head of the procession. After the jug was full, the procession went up the mountain to the top, where a smaller version of the altar and its parts had been built near the western wall. Willow branches with large, leafy branches were used to decorate the altar, just as they had been in the temple. The blessings from the priest and the Hakhel ceremony, which only takes place once every 7 years, brought the event to a close. As we prepare for the holiday of Sukkot, I would like to take this opportunity to remind you that we are currently in the process of constructing a robust community that offers information on the rapture industry. Please subscribe if you are interested in becoming a member of this family. Let's get back to the subject at hand. The joyful holiday of Sukkot gets its name from the ritual of bringing an offering of water to the temple as the primary focus of the festivities. The ceremony would last for 15 hours, and the celebrations would continue all throughout the night and into the following morning before the temple service would pick back up again. During the morning service of the 6 final days of the festival of Sukkot, in addition to the wine, water was also poured out. 2 priests had to climb the stone altar in the middle of the temple courtyard to get to the Saka spring at the base of Mount Moriah and get the water needed for the ceremony. Before heading back to the temple, they would fill a flask with 3 liters of spring water, which is roughly equivalent to 2 pints. During the reign of Hezekiah, the Solemn Tunnel, also known as Hezekiah's Tunnel, was constructed as a replacement for the vulnerable Canaanite Tunnel that was referred to as the Upper Pool. It ensured that besieging armies will no longer have access to the water supply by transporting the water from the Gihon spring down to the lower pool. During the time of the Second Temple, water continued to move southward and gather in an additional, larger pool that was thought to be a swimming hole. Archaeologists uncovered this pool in 2004, and new sections of it are still being uncovered to this day. As the Shemitah year comes to a close, it's important to remember that the year after it is thought to be the year when the Messiah may come. Both the Babylonian Talmud and the 10th Tractate of Sanhedrin 97 makes a reference to Amos 9:11, which states that on the day that the booth of David will be rebuilt. The teachings of the rabbis were organized around a cycle of 7 years, with the first year beginning with the appearance of the Son of David. People think that the events of Rosh Hashanah, which happened about 2 weeks ago, showed that this verse was true. The intensity of attention being paid to the building of the Third Temple, which is a topic I've spent a lot of time talking about, is one indication that the anticipation of the coming of Messiah is increasing. The traditions of the Talmud indicate that the arrival of the Messiah is very close at hand. In addition, the Jewish people anticipate the settlement of people from other nations in the Third Temple, and they are making concerted efforts to achieve this objective. It is very interesting to keep track of their efforts and see how well they correspond with their beliefs. There is no clear answer to the question of whether or not Jews will construct a physical temple number 3 before the second coming of Jesus Christ. On the other hand, Paul referred to a construction project that is already underway, and that project is the building of the spiritual temple. Thank you for watching this video on the recent preparation ceremony for the Third Temple, specifically the reenactment of the water libation that took place during the holiday of Sukkot. We hope that you found this information insightful and thought-provoking. As we mentioned earlier, the Third Temple is a topic of great interest to many people, particularly those who are interested in biblical prophecy and end-time events. While the exact timeline of when the Third Temple will be built is unknown, events like the recent preparation ceremony serve as a reminder that preparations are being made for its eventual construction. We encourage you to continue exploring and learning about the world around you, and stay open-minded to new ideas and perspectives. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to our channel and hitting the notification bell to stay updated on future content. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.